the meeting that are on the select board, just so I can understand like who's in the room?
There are. We've got Nicole Miner, Mr. Ritter, and I'm not sure if anybody else is.
But we don't know if they are participating as members or as private citizens.
Right, exactly.
So
They're not right.
I wouldn't
They're not.
put them on the spot and say, speak as a select board member necessarily.
Right, because that's, something that they would do at a public meeting.
Correct.
Okay, so I guess tonight's meeting, just so that we can kind of shape it, was the goal of tonight's meeting was to approve our application, or are you guys looking for more information?
Well, I mean, no, this was to approve the application because I have a deadline of when I need to submit our warrant articles for, I'll get to you next, Megan. When we need to submit these to town council to get these written. And so, we were hoping to have our last meeting on March 3rd, but because of the snowstorm that got canceled. So, but, yes, this meeting tonight was to make our decision based on the information that we have in front of us. This has been going on since, the first of the year. So we're into March now. And then some of the, the information letters about the admin building was another thing that came up. I've got a couple of members here that did have some quick questions, so I'm going to turn that over to them before you respond back. Go ahead, Megan.
Yeah, well, I just want to clarify, is that we took the application, we met with Peter prior to the application even being submitted. And we did, I think it was pretty clear that we wanted community support for this, and that means going to the select board. And he's known about this. We've asked for it several times. So, Mr. Hamad, and I'm sorry I don't know your last name.
Graham.
Sorry, thank you.
That's all right.
This is the 9th hour here, or the 11th hour, really. And I feel like we're no closer to getting any information.
Okay, so in that regard, I apologize for missing information, or if someone like Peter is fairly thorough, so I'm surprised that he wasn't able or maybe didn't reach out to the select board, and Peter's not on the call to kind of talk through his process. But it sounds as if the select board piece, getting that support in writing, is what you all need to make a decision on these funds. And again, like we're not here to pressure you guys to do anything that's off script. So is that the understanding? Is that we're missing a letter of support from the select board?
We're missing that, and we're also missing some clarification on the admin building. I mean, it clearly stated within the application that, the admin building was part of, the project within itself. And if that's not going to be part of, then, in my mind, it falls short of a complete project.
Yeah, so just to, okay, fair enough. So, all right, so we have the select board letter of support as being, one missing piece. And again, if you guys can't make the vote based on that, then we understand it, but we might as well take this time to kind of talk through things, even if we have to resubmit our application. I think for the admin building, right, like we understand the importance of that building, to the site, to the town. And it's also important to us. The admin building has always been a part of the project. It remains a part of the project, with the caveat that the admin building is a very expensive building to rehabilitate. And we have taken a number of steps, and we continue to do so, like having the admin building like historically designated. We've also had like an allocation of Massachusetts historic tax credits already set aside for the admin building. So the admin building is a part of the project, but it is somewhat subject to review as it relates to what is ultimately the cost benefit of the admin building as it relates to the entire project. So the admin building is clearly a part of the scope. It's clearly a part of the development plan, but the admin building kind of stands alone in a sense of, now that it is registered as a historic structure, there's very little that you can do to that building. And by having a building that is in that condition and having limitations about what you can do as it relates to openings and facades and roofs and, interior demolition, because it's historically designated, that is being analyzed. But the admin building is not being removed from the project right now. Like, it's a part of the project. It is going through like its own analysis because it's very unique. So I don't know where the exclusion of the admin building, where that information came from, but that is nowhere as of today. That is not the case whatsoever. Like, the admin building is considered as important as a residential building, but it requires a different sort of analysis. And that's pretty much it with the admin building. The functionality of the space, I don't know if anyone, I'm assuming folks might have walked in it. It's a scary building to walk in now, but I'm sure some folks have walked in that building and they can kind of see like the layout of that space. And like I said, being that it's historical, you can't really do a lot as it relates to like, taking down structural members or removing things that are historically significant within the interior. So there's some spatial constraints with the admin building that we are actively analyzing. So I would just say that, as of today and, the foreseeable future, the admin building is a part of the project.
Well, I understand, and I understand the drawbacks of trying to make that into residential units, and I didn't think that was going to be part of residential
it's
units.
not.
But,
Yeah. So
it states in the goal of the application here that, let's see here, the project is intended to increase in supply of affordable rental housing in Belchertown and Hampshire County as a previously developed site, rehabilitate and preserve the historic former state school administrative building. Further, the administrative building will provide amenities for residents of Carrot Grove Apartments and the town of Belchertown. So, I mean, that's like a clear fact stated right in the application here.
Yeah, and that fact is accurate, right? Like, the admin building is going to be a community. It's going to be a community space, right? The admin building's functionality really only serves as a community space that both the residents and the larger town can utilize. So, but at no point in the past, present, or in the future is the admin building considered for having, rental units in it. Functionality wise, it probably wouldn't even work if we tried it. So that application description is correct.
Okay. Anybody else have anything else you want to add?
Yeah.
Just real quick.
Yeah, I just,
Just state your name for the record. But state your name, Alex. So.
Okay, I'm Alexander Loss. I am the chairman of the Belchertown Historical Commission. And I have a few questions.
Okay.
First of all, did you get any feedback from the state as to the tax credits that we supported you on?
Yeah, as I said, we got an allocation of historic tax credits from the state.
Okay. The next question I have pertaining to phase 1A, I believe EDIC is in the process of signing a purchase and sale agreement.
Yeah, BDIC is, with the assistance of Mass Development, is in the process of executing a revised purchase and sale agreement.
Okay, fine. If and when this project goes forth, Who will end up holding the deed to this property?
So the project, when it goes forward, the sponsors or developers would be, you know, the NHP Foundation, which Micah represents, and maybe Scott is on, and then also like Sydney Capital Group, which is, you know, the entity that I own. Just for context, you know, Sydney Capital Group has been a part of the project since the beginning,
Okay,
within the original developer.
now going forward,
Yep.
if and when you go into Plan B, 1B, which is the rehabilitation of the administration building, who will hold the deed to that?
It would be the same entities, NHP, and like myself, my
So the town will
organization.
hold a deed to the admin building.
So we would hold a deed to the admin building, and the residential where phase 1A and 1B. The distinction between 1A and 1B is really from like a locational standpoint, as well as like, you know, kind of making the delineation between the new residential units and, you know, the admin building. But the admin building and the residential units will be financed under one financing plan. So the ownership will be common amongst the residential and the admin building.
Thank you. Sir,
We have Jonathan Spiegel from the Belchertown EDIC committee here
Just
with
for the
us.
purpose of clarity on your question, who will hold the deed for Phase B? Phase B is no longer under an umbrella agreement or plan. The EDIC with Mass Development, once the last agreement lapsed in October, November with Sydney Capital, made a decision. A1A and A1 and 1A are together.
yes,
But the subsequent phases that used to be part of a larger plan that we had written with developer have been separated. So the subsequent phases beyond this will be marketed and approached separately. It's conceivable that the same developer would want to take that on. It's also conceivable that other proposals will come forward beyond NHP Foundation.
well, in that case, sir, this application for phase 1 and 1A does not meet the criterion for historic preservation.
Wait, I'm sorry. So the confusion, I think the confusion, hey, Jonathan. So I think what Jonathan is describing is absolutely correct, right? This was a master plan that was broken up into multiple phases, right? That probably had like 5 phases in totality. What we have brought forth tonight and what, you know, Peter has put into the application is specifically for 1A and 1B, right? Those are the residential as well as the, you know, the workforce housing as well as the admin building. Those are part of the phase 1. Only reason we broke it up into 1A and 1B, just from a description standpoint, is that you're talking about a new construction of residential and you're talking about the rehabilitation of a building, but collectively they are phase 1. So we're not applying for any other phase other than phase 1. We at this point we
Well,
can probably
phase
do
1
the
does
whole
not
1A and
meet the
1B.
criterion
Hold on, it's easy.
for historic preservation, period.
If we're rehabbing the admin building, how are we not meeting
You gotta know, well,
the requirement?
Okay,
If that's a part of phase 1.
well, I mean, you know, I'm reading, you know, one of the letter from the town of Belchertown Economic Development Industrial Corporation, and, you know, their letter to the committee, and You probably have seen this also. So halfway through the second paragraph, it says, it should also be noted that significant discussions are revolved around the admin building. Its condition, the proposed $6 million budget for it within the $60 million total development cost, and the potential that the new purchase and sales agreement may look to it as an option versus a requirement based on funding availability, so as not to restrict the advancement of the primary objective of creation of the much needed housing units. So, I mean, that's, there again, I know I sound like a broken record here on the admin building, but, this is something that is kind of, what was stated to us, but also kind of stated to the town, I believe even the planning board in terms of this project and the redevelopment. And, when I see that kind of verbiage, it sounds to me like you're trying to get out of that part. And, so I look at $500,000 of, community preservation money. If it's not going, I understand the need for the affordable housing, but I also understand the need for the preservation of a historic building.
Yeah, and we do too, right? Like, I don't think the admin building is near and dear to everyone. Like, clearly, we wouldn't put this much work into it and put it within the residential, execution without us like really being concerned about making sure that building gets rehabilitated. So if the admin building was left alone and it wasn't a part of the larger residential, development, the admin building in and of itself would not be able to sustain the required rehab that it would need, right? It couldn't go out there and get secondary financing to get it. So, having it in the residential, structure is, the best way to get it rehabbed. I think what we were describing was the reality of the admin building, which is, keeping aside its historical significance and the kind of like sentimental importance it is to everyone. There's a real cost to rehabbing the admin building, and what we're doing is still keeping it in the project, but looking at it and saying, all right, at the end of the day, how much is this building going to cost to rehab, and does that cost prevent like the organizations, the state agencies from saying, we're going to support, a $6 million community facility space. We don't think that they're not going to support the admin building, but I think the flexibility that folks want is that, do we let the admin building, if someone comes back to us at the state level and says, the admin building is just way too expensive to no fault of your own, but it's way too expensive, we're not comfortable utilizing this money for the admin building, do we just, say, all right, if the admin building's not getting done, nothing's getting done? Like, I think the goal was to produce, housing as well as the admin building, but not letting either of them kind of sink the other, right?
I mean, I get it, but this is also going to be a very nice development, and the admin building is going to be right there hitting you in the face as you drive into this project. And to see a vacant building sitting there as you're, this development going on all around it, kind of slaps in the face of, the valuability of the town of Belchertown, in my eyes.
Yeah, that's not the goal, right? I hope you guys don't think that we're intending to do that, right? Like, we're not trying to get out of the admin building. I think what we are describing is the reality of it, and where this money comes from. And then ultimately, are we going to have, enough of a persuasive argument to say, look, we can save it. This is the cost. This is how it'll benefit, the community as well as the residents. And I think we have a compelling argument. And, not to kind of, go back to the idea that community support financially, is, it's a big deal, especially when you're talking about like, saving the admin building. Like it's easier. We already got the building listed, right? We've already gotten, mass historic tax credits for it. So it's coming together. But if we were able to say, look, the town of Belchertown gave us X amount of dollars for this project, and they really want the admin building to remain in the project, that's another compelling argument to make to the state that, look, everyone supports this. They're actually putting money behind it. Let's figure out a way to like, make sure that the admin building remains like a viable part of the project. Because in our mind, it's still a viable part of the project until someone tells us it's not. And at
Okay.
this point, no one's telling us that it's not, but we still need to kind of walk in there, hand to hand with the town and say, look, folks are really putting money where their mouth is. Like they really want the project to move forward, and they really want the admin building to be rehabilitated and put back into use.
Okay,
Yeah, I just wanted
I'm gonna
to,
go around, I'm gonna go
add
around the
something.
board
Go
here
ahead.
and just
Yep.
see if they've got any questions. I mean, I think I clearly stated our point. You responded back to most of that. So, Michael, do you have any questions?
Yeah, first of all, I'm looking, there was a purchase and sale agreement dated back in, 2022. Is that null and void at this point?
Correct.
So right now, there is no purchase and sale agreement in existence.
There's one being negotiated now.
There is nothing right now, is that correct? So as far as commitments and legal ownership and legal documentation between Sydney and doing anything in our town, does that exist?
Right.
Okay. That was question number one. Question number two is, and I guess this is for Hammond, from a timing standpoint, if we don't even have a purchase and sale agreement, what is the immediacy of saying I have to get the commitment on the money right now when we don't even have a good, clear legal requirement of what's going to happen? So my question is around not whether the money should be approved or how it's approved or anything, but just the timing on what is the immediacy of the grant approval right now.
Yeah, you make a great point, and kind of hearing what you guys are saying. Like there is, this PSA that's being negotiated, in real time, and I would say today, right? Like if we needed, you guys to approve it today with the concerns that you have, and maybe not having the the letter of support from the select board. I would tell you no. Today, you do not necessarily have to make a decision on these funds as long as folks are operating in good faith that the funds will be available once the PSA is executed, and we submit another funding application in June. I think this meeting sounds as if there's some holes in the application in the sense of, there's, the PSA is not, the new PSA is not available yet. It hasn't been executed, as well as we didn't get the letter of support for the select board. So in some ways, this meeting can kind of serve as like an update to the application that we submitted, knowing that the application we submitted needs to, include additional information in order for us to, in order for you guys to make a really informed, credible decision around like awarding us these funds. So to your question, today, do we need you guys to sign off or feel pressured to sign off on something? I would say no. We don't. We want you guys to, support the project, in a way that you guys feel comfortable with. It would be great if you did today, but we're not looking for you guys to, make any real concessions around your process or like any concerns that you guys have with, site control, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
I
let me-
just, I wanted to add to that a little bit too, is just, to what Meta said, also, in Massachusetts, very critical. Again, we have other projects in the state and, local dollars are critical, because essentially we've had other projects where the state isn't willing to fund projects until they've seen the local dollars be put forward. Even though it doesn't seem like a lot of money, but it means a lot in getting the additional state funding to make the project a reality. So I just wanted to say that too. I just wanted to add that it's, how important and critical the local support is to, getting the actual overall project. The state dollars follow the local dollars in that sense. It doesn't look like it. Obviously, the state's putting in the big majority of the money, but that's something that means a lot to them. So.
And I have two more questions. The first one is a follow-up to that thought process. And that is in terms of the demonstration to the state, if it's made, is there a significant difference between a demonstration of $250,000 versus a demonstration of $500,000? Does the mere fact of putting some funds forward weigh differently from putting a tremendous amount of funds forward? Do you understand my question?
Yeah, I think it's yeah, to your point, right? It's relative when you're talking about like a $60 million project, right?
I'm sure more is better, but.
Yeah, but just think of it this way, and this is kind of similar to what Micah was saying, is that, we're not just competing with ourselves here, we're competing with other projects. So if other projects in the state, have a similar community like Belchertown, and those communities are putting in, more money, it doesn't cast judgment on anyone if, one community is putting in, $1 million versus a community that's putting in $500,000 or 250. It doesn't cast judgment, but for every dollar that is given at the local level, it's a dollar that the state can save and put into other projects, right? So it's not as if they're just looking for this money as something symbolic. They're effectively saying, all right, if you guys put in $500,000, then that's $500,000 of additional subsidy I can put into a project in Pelham, and vice versa, right? So it's not it's not exact science as it relates to the relative size of the project, and the local contribution. It's just more of a, all right, if you can do it, then you should do it. If you can't, then okay, what can you do? And does that ultimately impact the project if someone comes back from HLC and says, hey, we're gonna need, they should have put in 500,000, we need 500,000, da 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 da. And if you guys are only able to do, a half of that, then that's a conversation that has to be had. But again, there's no rhyme or reason to the, the local contribution. But the more you can give, the better position the project is from optics. And then also it alleviates some of the stress at the state level because they're funding projects throughout the Commonwealth, right? So
Okay, all right.
yeah,
I'm just thinking about, a town of 30,000 people versus 3,000 people. They're not gonna be able to make the same.
yeah,
My
fair
last-
enough. Yeah,
my
fair
last-
enough.
Go ahead, Michael.
My last question, and this is for us as well as them. When Peter made the original pre-application discussion, the statement was made that if we were to approve the funds, the fund would not be transferred until after construction was completed.
Correct.
That we would make a commitment up front, it would be allowed to be leveraged then for state to go ahead and tax events and all that other stuff, and they build it. And then upon completion, then they would say to Belchertown, now we need the check cut.
Yeah, so
If that upon completion were defined as 105 units available, plus the administration building up and running and refurbished and whatnot, would that be an acceptable approach? That our funds would be available contingent upon the restoration and historic preservation of the admin building as well as the construction of the 105 units.
yeah, I think conditioning it in that way. So first off, yes, your money is, can be the last money in, right? So as a project, we TCO on the residential, we TCO on the admin building, then your money would come in to finish out the rest of construction. So I've seen that other projects, that wouldn't be anything atypical. I think the more conditions you put on the funding, right, it just adds more questions as to whether or not the funding would truly be available. We can
So the
commit.
only condition would be that you construct it according to the site plan that was submitted,
Yeah, so I think in that
which
regard, right?
included the refurbishment of the admin building.
Yeah, I think if you condition it based on the kind of like the approved upon scope, right? But noting what we just previously described about the admin building. So effectively, if you condition it to, if you grant us these funds at the next meeting, say in April, right? And you condition it to be available only if the admin building is brought online, then that puts us in a situation where, we couldn't necessarily count those funds in the project because of what we just described about the admin building and how, it might be perceived at the state level that they're spending $6 million effectively on a community facility space, right? And again, the same premise, like that $6 million can go towards actually building, residential units. I don't work at the state, like their calculation, their math around reasoning is their math around reasoning. I think if the funds were made available only conditioned or tied to the project as, this is where we have gotten the 105 units, 104 units of workforce, and the development plan still seeks to rehab the admin building, and those funds were available with that caveat of we still seek to rehab the admin building, then I don't think anyone would be concerned about that. But if you're saying those funds are only available if we do the admin building, we're being placed in a position where we might be forced to build, the project might be harmed by having something as definitive as that, in the sense that, again, we don't know how the state is going to react to a $6 million rehabilitation of a building that doesn't contain units, right? It's just out of our privy. So
Okay.
I think, having it conditioned on completion of the project, and by project saying, this is what folks intend on doing, and maybe there might be a small chance that the admin building might be too expensive for the state to swallow. But ultimately, what we're coming forth with you is what our plan, which is the residential and the admin building. Like, we have not deviated from that.
Okay.
I'm done.
Megan?
I don't have any questions you said, other than I think it's still premature then at this point, because we don't have a signed purchase and sale agreement. It's a pretty easy kind of ask to find out about whether or not the state's gonna allow an admin building or not. I feel like you put it into your project proposal and you didn't check. And I hope you hear the annoyed tone that I take right now. But I think maybe we do look at it, and just so you know, the next applications will be due in November. And maybe that's when, when all of this is been settled, and that's when we look at it again.
Yeah, so I would, kind of just say, these budgets are reviewed as they're submitted in applications, right? So the premise that we didn't get clearance from HLC isn't really in sync with how these projects are financed. Like, folks don't review them until applications are submitted. And waiting until November to revisit this conversation about local matches, it just actually harms the project in its totality. And I'll just be that's just how, because these applications are going to be due prior to the next November meeting. So if there's any consideration for like a special meeting, once we have the purchase and sale agreement in tow, then I would ask for that consideration. But if the next application or review period is November, I think not having a local match by then would harm the overall project.
Understood.
Yeah.
Pat, you had a question?
I don't know if this is a question or it just, because the admin building is a historic building, it would have made sense to me to apply for historic funds to renovate that building in conjunction with housing funds, asking for the housing funds separately. I know it's probably too late to do that, I don't know, but I think going forward, looking for historic CPC funds and not tying that. I understand the condition of the building, I understand that it's gonna cost a lot of money, and having the housing depend on the admin building doesn't make any sense to me at all, because they're two separate things. And we do need the workforce housing. I think it's very important, and that's something that if we don't do something about it soon, I've been doing a little bit more homework, and there's chapter, 40B or something?
40B.
Yeah, and so, I mean, this is a great place to put the housing, and if we don't do something soon, then anybody can come in and put housing, affordable housing anywhere they want, according to what I just read. So.
Yeah. I would respond. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hold on a minute.
Go ahead.
Finish up that.
So is there anything that can be done about the application having the admin building requesting funds out of the historic pocket, and then the housing request be separate, even though they're then somehow tying together?
Yeah.
And saying, we're asking for historic funds here, we're asking for housing funds here, and you better do that admin building. But if the state comes in and says, forget it, the admin building is too far gone, that's a reality that we as a town have to accept.
Yeah.
Knowing what some of the buildings have looked like.
Right, they've already, okay.
That's all
Yeah, so I would just respond. So I hear your point, ma'am, and I would respond that's actually the inverse, where the admin building is actually benefiting from the residential sources, right? Because it's going to be a community facility space, in some ways it's created as an extension of the residential so that it can utilize funds that are typically available for the residential build out, right? The admin building on its own could never be rehabilitated as a standalone historic structure, right? It's too expensive. There's not enough state or federal historic tax credits, because those programs look at 30% of the qualified rehabilitation expenditures. So if you take that into account with a $66 million build out rehab of the admin building, you're effectively looking at tax credits generated by, 30% of that, which would be $1.8 million, right? Like that would be the only funds that are available for a $6 million rehab of a building. By virtue of it being a part of the larger residential development, it utilizes the same funds from the residential to the admin building. That's why the conversation around whether or not the state will say, this building is, I understand what you're trying to do, which is to give it more sources of funds to rehab, but you're also asking us for it within the context of the residential building. So that's the part that makes the admin building challenging on its own, but actually a compelling story when you put it into the residential. And as it relates to like overall sourcing distinct funds for the admin building, we have already started that process with the state, but the state is only going to give us, I don't know, maybe $1 million of like historic tax credits, right? Not $1 million, not a one-to-one for the rehab cost, but like $1 million of historic tax credits that are then sold, below $1, right? So you don't, the admin building cannot be rehabbed as a standalone historic structure. Because it's just too expensive of a rehab to like actually do. So
Okay.
yeah.
May I?
No, hold on. Wilbur, you have anything?
I'm fine.
Okay, Alex?
Okay, I think this whole conversation is moot because, as Mr. Spiegel said, EDIC or Mass Development, whatever, have separated these two projects. Am I correct?
No, they have not.
No, it's always been one A and one B as a single entity, the single project. What we've separated out is phase 2 and phase 3 and phase 4 to be separate projects.
So
Which
the
could be on-
1A is the housing development and the
Correct.
historic building being
Okay,
the admin
thank
building.
you.
Yeah, no, thank you for that question. It's important.
Donald, do you have any questions?
No questions. I think I'm good.
I will open this up to the public. Do we have anything from either EDIC that representatives here? Any questions, thoughts, comments?
The most important aspect of what you're being asked to do is the demonstration to the state that the town is supportive of this project and perhaps in the future supporting it of future phases has been described for you. I think that's very real. We've been informed by numerous entities, including legislators, mass development, et cetera, that a local contribution is critical for consideration of the larger requests of the state from the Office of Housing and Livable Communities. And that's part of their process in looking each year at the different towns and cities that apply for state funding for the housing. And I think it's important for you to stay focused on the importance of that and the importance to the EDIC and the town of support of the project. How you achieve support, you need to determine. And you've had some suggestions this evening. I don't know your process or your regulations about what you can do.
Yep.
But I think your support for the project, whether it's conditional, whether it's time-based, whether it's segmented, whether it's some now, some later, whatever you want to do, I think is the support which is the most important.
Thank you.
So I want to ask him though, and you bring up a good point there, if there is no purchase and sale agreement right now, then how do we condition the support contingent upon what? NHP doing something or Sydney doing something or a third party that suddenly walks in the door and says, oh, no, I've got a better deal?
That's a
You know,
great
how do
question.
we
That's a great question.
conditionalize
It is a great question.
our support if there's nothing even in existence?
So what we have at the moment is authorization for mass development to negotiate with NHP Foundation and Sydney Capital as their partner to create a proposed purchase and sale agreement, which we will review and the town will review. And it is our expectation, based upon what we have heard from NHP Foundation and from Mass Development, that they will be successful. Whether or not it'll be acceptable is the final step. With that review, right, like any purchase and sale. If that is not concluded with NHP Foundation, EDIC will not look to see funds that you may commit
Mhm.
to be allocated to anybody else. Because we will not at that moment then have a clear path forward. We'd have to find another developer.
Yeah.
Which means a different project, which means a different round of the state funding, which is what's the timing of that round of state funding is what's underlying all of this apparent urgency.
And you're in the middle of negotiating something, but we don't know what that final negotiation may be. You know, NHP may come back and say, well, you know, we've really looked at it, we can only do 30 apartments.
Well, there again, if
But you're asking us to commit
we're committed,
on the fact that you will be successful in this negotiation.
correct, and if that negotiation doesn't happen, then if at town meeting this gets supported, that would all be a moot point, and
Well, I'm saying the negotiation is successful and EDIC agrees, yeah, 30 apartments is good enough.
No,
If EDIC gets in the negotiation and says, you know what, 30 is better than nothing,
yep,
and we've got this money,
yep,
and we can make a go of it.
the negotiation is about building what's been approved in the site plan by NHP Foundation with Sydney Capital. And that's what they're talking about.
So
If they come back and say, we can do, instead of 105, we can do 103, we might consider that. If they come back and say we can only do 75, we would not consider that because it's not consistent with our plan, our master plan, and what was been approved already by the town in the site plan.
so we can tie our,
in the site plan was the admin building
Correct.
rehabilitation
Correct.
with the museum and the kitchen and the this and the that.
Correct.
So
I guess we could tie our funds to the approved site plan, the purchase and sales and the approved site plan, all as one.
Which is what we've done.
Right, because those
Yeah.
are the key things that are important.
Exactly. And
Yeah, you guys have
These two
your
things-
point, right? Like, yeah,
Hold on a
I would just close.
hang on.
Him,
These two things have been tied together for a dozen years, long before we met Sydney Capital and Ahmad Graham.
Yep.
They've been part of our original plan because we understood that in order to rehab and make useful the admin building, it had to be part of a larger project. Because this is not their language.
Couldn't stand alone.
It couldn't stand alone. We've always known that.
Yep.
And the only way to get to it would be to have a larger project into which some of that work for rehab and restoration and then use could be borne by the construction costs and the financing and ultimately the revenue stream of a larger project. We tied it together 12 years ago when we put out the master plan. So that's why there's a 1A and 1B.
okay, perfect. That's clear to me. Okay,
The advantages of being on a board.
for a number of years.
So
Come in.
I would just say that, again, it seems like we have to go back a bit and do a little bit of homework on getting the support from the select board as being, a follow-up, and then also the purchase and sale agreement being finalized, consistent with the site plan, and then folks, we can kind of talk about the overall conditions of your support. But I just want to, again, kind of double back to the fact that we can't really wait until November for this.
Yeah, no, it's actually not even November. That's when the grant applications would be due. It would be a whole cycle of another year. So I understand the need for a vote, this time right now for town meeting, having, that support to be shown for your application to the state for tax credits. That is totally understandable at this
One
stage
more
right
point
now.
relating to that timing issue. We fully expect that a purchase and sale will have been concluded before town meeting.
And that may be
therefore-
something, right, we could, if you're at that point where things are not, we could take a no action vote. Even if we approve everything here and things are at a stalemate or things are dead in the water, we can always take a no action vote at town meeting on this warrant article, and then it's over and done with. So, we have options that, with us to be able to pull a warrant, even if, however we see fit, moving forward, if we decide to go forward with this.
Then to me, it starts becoming critical, what actual words are written in the warrant.
Correct, and I will, this is pretty complex situation, so I would, seek, town council support and guidance in terms of how to write this warrant article and the motion for it to make sure that, we're covered, they're covered, everybody's, our ducks are in a row, and we're moving forward and, the path that it needs to be a resolution. So, and just so you know, the thought of the committee and speaking with Peter was that, CPC money would be almost, if not the last out, would be near the end of this project. We don't pay in advance. We certainly could pay as progression happen, but we're not
He
gonna.
clearly said
Right.
upon completion.
So, right. And so we can, those would be some of the key issues that we would, be part of our warrant article also. So just so your understanding on that.
Yeah, that's fine, and that's consistent with how other local communities do as well, so that's not an issue.
Perfect. I know I did see Leslie had his hand raised earlier. I don't know if you still have a question. I will open this up to the public at this point. Yes, go ahead. Leslie, just unmute yourself and ask your question. Can't hear you yet. You're still muted.
Almost. Wrong button.
Can we unmute her?
Should be able to. I should be. Click those three dots on the top right of her screen,
I think you have to go to settings.
right there.
No.
Send unmute request.
Can you just click on her microphone?
Sometimes you can, but
No. Well, does anybody else from the public want to speak while we figure this out? You sent the request, that's all you did.
Okay.
If you, actually, I think you go up to the settings, you may be able to unmute it up top there, yeah, right there.
looks like she logged back in.
Oh,
And scroll
she's
down.
two, okay. I guess she's,
There
okay.
you go. There we go. Leslie's good. Go ahead. You got a question.
Sorry about that. So just as a town resident, I'm just a little concerned with the funding of this. So if I understand this correctly, this is low income that's going to be put in town, that the town, they're asking for funds from the town that we're never going to hold a deed to. So someone else holds the deed while we're assisting in the funding of this?
Correct. We would not hold a deed, but there would be a deed restriction on this property that would carry probably a 30-year term of affordable housing that would be available to, citizens of the Commonwealth.
Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out how this benefits the town and making it better as a whole, except for giving it, 105 units. Like, how does this generate funds for us? Like, we struggle as a town now.
The town will get, the whoever owns this project will certainly be paying taxes, real estate taxes to the town of Belchertown. So, there is the real estate taxes, there is your excise tax, your stormwater fees, all the other things that, we as citizens pay. Whoever owns this project at the end would pay those fees to the town.
Okay, as we do as residents, not at like the state level, where the state's only gonna pay a certain amount for these individuals to live there. The owner of this
No,
property.
No, they get tax credits. They just get a tax credit for the development of the parcel.
residents don't get money from the state unless they're in a very small category
Right.
of residents.
Right.
She was,
Right, no, sorry, that's what I meant.
And what it does is it makes it we want to say an affordable community. So, based on your income is what you would be either paying for rent or, how the units get subsidized, if anything.
to the question about revenue to the town, this week we collected some data. These apartments will rent at rates that are lower than is currently available to people. Kirk did a survey of real estate insurance companies that insure.
Right, I was just talking with Ellen Hudson yesterday, and she said, you can't find us one-bedroom apartment for less than 1,500, if you can even find one.
Right.
And the second thing is,
Go ahead.
we also looked at the tax contribution of Crown Point and Lord Jeffrey Apartments. Crown Point pays about $35,000 a year in real estate taxes,
Yep.
depreciated tremendously because of the age. And Lord Jeff is about $111,000 last year.
Yep.
Depreciated again. This will be brand new construction. It'll be full valuation. So it'll be more per value dollar from this construction, at least as it trails off with depreciation.
When I first started on this committee, a hell of a long time ago, I was adamant, no housing, no housing. 30 years later.
We haven't
that's
been
not
able to,
possible.
we have not been able to redevelop that parcel because of that.
It's
And the
not
whole
possible.
idea of, once you incorporate the housing into this, that should spin off the need for other businesses
Right,
and whatnot to be able to support the additional housing that is there. So that's the whole goal of this, is you get the housing first, and then the spin-off support for redevelopment will show up, whether it's, your barber shop, your, just any of that kind of stuff, your doctor's offices, your whatever it may be, that
Art Point Brewing.
exactly shows you that. Any
Okay.
other questions?
No, that was helpful. I was just concerned at what type that might just bring in. That's all. I moved to this community for, the way Belchertown is now. So that was just a little concerning to me, and I just wanted some clarity.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Does anybody else want to speak in regard to this project? If not, go ahead, Pat, you have one.
So I just think it would be helpful if someone could explain that the state has a goal of 10% affordable housing, and that as a town, we need to meet that.
Well, the whole idea of 40B is, that is a set goal for the state, that each community has a minimum of 10% within their town for affordable housing. I think we're at about 6% here within the town. So what that does is it allows a developer to come in and circumvent zoning for where they want to put any housing development for affordable housing based on, of course, the availability of parcels and everything else. So, I mean, that is a state, goal is the 10%. We've always tried to meet that, especially, the planning board has always brought that up on a yearly, how do we, this project helps that succeed.
So it would be a benefit to the citizens of this town if we had this housing on the state school property so that it's not put somewhere else where it wouldn't fit in.
Correct. I mean, this gives you the opportunity to develop it in a manner, in a location that's, much more desirable for the community as a whole versus, where they would be otherwise allowed to be putting it in any neighborhood.
Right.
It gives us control
Correct.
over what goes there and what it looks like and all that stuff.
Right. Anything else?
No, I just wanted to point out that even though I moved here 42 years ago and it was a tiny little town and I loved it and I wish I could go back to that, but we can't.
Right.
And so to me, this is, even though I don't want to see lots more housing, we have to have it. We need it. My grandkids want to live in Belchertown someday. They need a place to live that they can afford, and this would benefit all our children.
Current and future, right,
Yeah.
absolutely. Michael?
I'm all in favor of the 105 units, and I'm all in favor of bringing in people and having the support and the dynamicness of growth in town. And as you say, that then becomes a seed point for satellite businesses and coffee shops and all that kind of stuff to support it, and we get to develop we get to develop that part of the town. What I'm not sold on is the urgency of the timing. That, the original purchase and sale was 2022. 2022. And nothing, we've got the site plan approval, but in 4 years, I don't see that anything's happened except the purchase and sale is going away.
Right.
No,
So
Nicole, can you mute yourself? I will grab your input next.
So I guess what I haven't.
No, we didn't have a purchase and sale. We had a memorandum of agreement from the beginning. And that's all we ever entered into. And it basically went by the wayside because he couldn't get the funding to move forward on his own. And therefore, he had reached out towards the end of his last memorandum of agreement, reached out to NHP, was a national firm whom I wish we had 5-6 years ago, but we didn't. Now they're trying to pull that together. You see, he had gone through all the steps and everything for development. Well, if Hamad is not involved anymore, then they start over again, and the clock goes way back, and it's going to take another 3-4 years to get a shovel in the ground. Whereas when they team up, they can go with the same plan and hit the ground running a lot sooner. That's
So it says here, Mr. Graham was designated as developer of the project site by BEDIC, and a purchase and sale agreement was executed on February 14th, 2022.
There was no dollar number, it was a memorandum of agreement.
Well, it says it was a purchase and sale agreement executed, so
well, then
that's different from a memorandum of understanding.
Absolutely.
That's,
I'm not sure what you're reading from.
I'm
Right.
reading from their application for money.
So it may have been, the thought error.
So I'm just
Yeah.
concerned about.
But I
If
understand.
It's been
Well,
4 years, 5 years,
no
what
monetary.
Because
is the urgency right now today?
So
they're on the home stretch, they're on the 10-yard line and they want to get into the goal line. So, 3 years ago, they were still at the 50-yard line. Now we're at the 10-yard line. And with, NHP being involved in it, we're, we got 4 more downs to get over the goal line, and this is where we're at. And so that's why the urgency.
Sports analogy.
All right. So we're in the last 5 minutes of the third period of the hockey game. How's that?
Yeah, so if you use the sports analogy, right, and you think about like the 4-year, right, like we're in the 4th period, right, for the first couple years, first period, second period, third period. But typically with these kind of projects, and you guys can kind of see the complexity and all the sources you have to bring in to build like workforce housing, it takes on average 4 to 5 years from start to finish to get a shovel in the ground for all projects. And I can speak specifically to that because I just broke ground on the Chicopee site Singing Bridge last year in April 2024. I won that RFP in September of 2020. So it took us roughly 5 years to get into the ground. But like I said, the one big thing about the Chicopee project that really got it over the hump was the amount of support that the city put into the project monetarily. So that's why we're here, right? We understand that these projects take a long time. The more of a story that you can put in front of the agencies around like local support, the better. But what we have now, time-wise, is not atypical. It's pretty standard of what building a large scale, like, workforce, mixed income housing. We're not out of step, and we've made quite a bit of progress. I have prior to like NHP, and to the gentleman's point, like we are on the 10-yard line now. So we need, if we want to go back to like Curtis Martin, if folks are Pats fans, if we want to go back to Curtis Martin, NHP is kind of like that running back that's gonna, get us over the finish line. So
The urgency is really about the state funding cycle, which is imminent. And if we cannot because it's an EDIC project, in addition to the developers, if we don't make the state funding cycle, which is coming up in 6 weeks or 8 weeks, it's another full year before we can be considered. We've spent the last 4 years with Hamad and his team making plans, going through plans, revising plans, doing engineering, doing cost studies, the architects, it's a planning board, and a whole host of other kinds of steps that you would ordinarily go through to put something into the ground.
Yep.
And we're now at the point where we've got to pull the money together. NHP Foundation is a big part of that, and they're here. And the state money is critical to this. So if we can't get the application into the state for this cycle, then we miss another year. That's really what that's the urgency. And it's unfortunate that there was a snowstorm.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd have another 2 weeks to talk about.
Right.
But we're up against that. And I really would apologize to you all because this could have happened a little sooner.
Yeah.
It should have happened a little sooner.
I think, in shame on us, I think, some of that urgency, we didn't feel until, the last couple of meetings. So, but we're here. We'll hash this out. Nicole, you had a question?
Yes. Speaking to you tonight as a resident and a taxpayer, I actually want to make a statement, but also request some clarification from Hamad. So I was in a previous EDIC meeting where I heard 2 things that were said. The first statement that I heard was that use of the administration building would be restricted to residents of the workforce housing for their community space, as well as offices for the building administration. I did not hear at any point that other members outside of the community in Belchertown that were not living in that housing would have any access to that building. Can you first confirm that for me?
I can confirm that a community facility space is typically open to the community. It does support like the residential, the residential units, but the community facility space is open to the community. There's space that's available for the community to use for town gatherings, etc. The programming with the admin building now consists of, we're still going to look to do the museum slash community facility space, but also have additional community facility space that's available to the residents. And then there will be some, offices for, management, but there will be space in that building that the community can utilize, not just the residents.
Okay, and then the second thing that I heard was that, yes, that deadline is approaching for the first round to request funding, but that this is a highly, highly competitive application, and that the likelihood of getting funding in the first round is fairly low.
Yeah, again, that's not my process per se to describe, but based on experience, yeah, applications kind of need to go through a couple rounds for them to be considered ready to be funded. This project did go through a pre-application in 2023. It hasn't been submitted for a full application in some ways because we're negotiating, a new PSA, but also we can't really submit a full application without a local match. So the more competitive your application is, and HLC and the state, they recognize the value of this project. They have said it over and over again. They recognize the value of it. We just have to put forth the best application we can.
Okay, and I would just like to remind the committee that the select board did vote no on supporting a letter to the state last night at their meeting. I was a junior at the Belchertown High School when the state school closed. I am turning 50 years old in August, and I have yet to see anything develop on that property till this date. I personally, as a resident and a taxpayer, do not support the affordable housing coming in before any kind of commercial development. It's going to be a drain on our services, police, fire, utilities, and schools. And that was one of the reasons that I personally voted against this last night. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, do we have anybody else that would like to speak?
I think accurately, the vote last night by the select board was 2 in favor of sending a letter and 2 opposed. So it did not pass because it did not have a majority.
Okay.
Thank you for the clarification.
Also, I would point out that it is not accurate to state that nothing has been built on state school land that has been acquired by the EDIC. Over the decades, we now are responsible for almost $350,000 in tax revenue to the town from the facilities that have already been built on state school land that the EDIC acquired. It's true that the main campus was not yet developed, but it was in areas across from the administration building and Front Street were developed, and a great deal of demolition and remediation was required on a site that was highly contaminated. And the EDIC worked through all of that with tremendous support from the state and the federal government. And the site is now ready and clean and clear. The power plant, which was one of the worst offenders of the site, is gone. And the site there is clean. And we've talked about that being, at the Saturday meeting, there was a hue and cry for more public space. We've always talked about that as an amphitheater where things could be presented and the community could enjoy the outdoors and the most beautiful view in the valley. So we continue to move it along. It just takes time.
Yep. And, the town itself has to one of the biggest things for commercial development is natural gas. I mean, the town does not have natural gas for a resource for, a lot of your commercial development. So, that is a huge restriction that, that has handcuffed us. And so, and there again, I mean, this is, what capitalism is all about. So when there's a need, there'll be it'll follow through with the redevelopment part of it. Did you have anything else?
Well, I can just add that we had the DART initiative come into town, which was Design and Resiliency Team, and they did a 3-day thing. And the Belchertown, what they came up with that site would be a town within a town. And that's what the Belchertown State School was. It was a town within the town. And so that's basically what you're creating. And I also want to bring up the fact that in 1940, there were 1,300 children on that property. So it was a town within the town, and they were all taken care of. And that there were a lot of people there to take care of those children. So having housing there shouldn't be a big surprise to people in town because it was there before. And I've recorded the EDIC meetings for a number of years, and I know how hard they've worked to get businesses onto that property. And so at this point, I understand after watching for so many years that you need to have the housing in place. And there are businesses on that property, and more businesses will come because the need will be there.
Okay, thank you.
I guess I'm done.
All right, I guess, we've been on this for an hour and a half now. I mean, the committee has looked at this project for the last, several months here. And I am in favor of this project with certain restrictions in terms of, how, what's going to get developed and redeveloped, and the allocation, the timing and the allocation of the funds. I mean, so I would be in favor of pushing this project forward so they can reach out to the state, showing the financial support from the Belchertown Community Preservation Committee for their project. So, that's how I'm going to look at that, and whether or not I'm willing to go with the full 500,000 or maybe doing a reduced value of about 300,000. But I don't think I want to go any less than 300,000, to be honest with you. That's my thought. I'll put it around the board and see where you guys all feel.
I support it
And, okay,
with a contingency that we've talked about.
Yeah, I'm also in support of it. We just have to remember that we have one big pie that we're dividing up, right? So I don't have a problem if we say 300,000, and I understand if they are acceptable to that, I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say 100, where we put in a understanding of maybe 200 the next year and the next year.
You gotta go in all as one, because otherwise you gotta do multiple grants for years on down the road. So by saying, the timeline of, 50% completion will give you 25% or 50%, or we're looking for 100% completion and then we'll give you the money. We know we'll have 3 years before we have to actually, take the money out of our savings account,
Okay.
so to speak.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
If we say 300,000, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
That's where we are,
Okay. Alex, your thought?
If we have the caveat of not paying them until the administration building is complete, I will vote yes on that provision.
Mm-hmm.
And that should be written into the warrant.
Well, it would be. That's where, the conditions that we're talking about here for this,
Then I vote
for this
yes.
grant application.
So sorry to to interrupt us, but okay, fair enough, and I get it with the admin building, but the initial request was for 500,000, right? And if the admin building is we're going to continue to fight for it. We get it, but taking shaving it off by 200,000, it just impacts like the admin building in a way. So I would just say that, like, you know, I that's just my thoughts of hearing, you know, the concern about the admin building, but then a reduction in what was requested. So,
Okay, understood. Donald?
I think the bigger issue for me is, I've only got communication to this about not wanting it. I haven't got communication in favor of this project, so I'm a no on this.
Communication from the residents of Belchertown.
Correct, yes.
Okay, I just
Yes.
want clarity.
Megan?
I only got that one letter. I thought some of the logic was flawed. So I'm in favor of this project. But I can't stress enough, Mr. Graham, I'm really in favor of the admin building. But I am in
I hear you,
favor of
ma'am.
this project. Yeah, you can
No,
call me
I
Megan.
hear you. I hear you.
I'm
You
really
gave
in
me that.
favor of that part. But I'm in
Yeah,
favor
no,
of.
no worries. Yeah, you gave me that voice like my mom gives me sometimes when she's like, she calls me Mr. Graham when I'm in trouble.
I'm a teacher, Mr. Graham.
Yeah, oh,
This is how
all
we do
right. Yeah, my sister's a teacher in Springfield, so yeah.
As am I. We'll have
All
to-
right. No, I used to be a school teacher in Springfield before I found out I was a terrible school teacher.
Got it.
All right.
Michael?
So the critical question is, did you obey your mother?
Till this day, I'm
What are your
I'm
thoughts
still
on the project?
afraid of her at 47. Till this day.
So I'm in favor of the construction of the housing and all of that until, and I will vote yes, depending on the contingencies placed upon the payment. So we don't have a purchase and sale.
Right.
We don't have a defined, do we have a defined site plan that will be abided by?
Well, we do have a defined site plan through the EDIC, so I would tie that to the existing, I would tie a condition of this grant to the existing memorandum of understanding, if you want to call that, with the Belchertown EDIC and with the approved site plan of the planning board.
So we would write in there, in accordance with the site plan as approved on such and such a date,
Yes.
which includes the, and 1 and 1B,
1A and 1B, yes.
1A and 1B.
I don't think you should tie it into the memorandum of agreement.
No, but I guess,
All that is null and void.
okay, so then, but we will tie it into
Would
the
have
site
to tie
plan.
it into an approved purchase and sale.
Yeah, yeah.
And completion
And the
of
site plan,
what was approved as the site plan on such and such a date.
that would work.
That makes sense.
I would go along with that, and I would, at that point, by having the inclusion of the admin building, I would be willing to go with the full 500,000, and, we're the last payees on this project.
I would like to make a clarity point to make sure we're clear. We said this to Peter, that our role is to make a recommendation to the town.
Yep.
This goes before them at a town meeting. And at the annual town meeting, each citizen can vote yes or no. They are the deciding factor. At that meeting, it is not our job to sway the audience. The people that are asking for the projects to be approved are the ones responsible for attending the annual town meeting and convincing the citizens to vote their pocketbook. So our job is to make a recommendation, but it is not to sway the public during the annual town meeting.
Thank you, Michael.
Understood.
So with our discussion with Michael and I in mind, moving forward for the full 500, are you willing to go with the full 500 based on what we
I like the 300.
like the 300? Megan,
I like the 500.
you're not in favor of the
Here's my
project at
favorite.
all, or?
Yeah, but if it goes through, right, because it looks like there's majority vote, I would be at the 300 myself, but I'm not for the project overall, correct?
We don't have that much money.
Right.
This is a huge
The whole,
jump.
right, and you know, I mean, what's the timing on the completion of this project? Is it 3 years? Is it 5 years? If, you know, this gets, you know, I mean, what's the realistic timing on the completion of this project?
So realistically, it's 24 months once we break ground. So
Yeah.
if we break ground next year, you guys wouldn't have to commit your funds like fully into the project until probably 2029.
Okay. Perfect.
Yes,
You okay with the 300 then?
yeah.
I'm a 300 guy.
Well, I'm okay with 500 because he said without the 500, it'll be more difficult to do the admin building. That's the only reason I would say 500.
Right.
Yeah, and that's really the reason. Yeah, every dollar that we can put into that project or that building, the better.
Okay. There again, I've got 8 members, or I got 7 members here. You know, we've got 500, 300. We've got to find a
Jim.
common ground.
You want to split the difference and make it 4?
I'll you know what, like, it sounds as if, like, you know, the difference is meaningful to you guys. You know, you heard my pitch for 500. I'll let you guys decide what you can do.
Okay. I mean, well, you've got the support of the committee here. I think what we're going to end up doing is we're going to, discuss this project a little bit more and come up with a final dollar amount. But, we're anywhere in that $300 to $400,000 range right now.
Contingent upon a successful P&S and contingent upon completion according to the site plan as approved.
Correct. So those will be, and those will be the conditions that, we're going to certainly write into the warrant article.
Okay.
All right.
Fair enough.
Thank you. So, I mean, we need to make a vote tonight. So folks, we need to come up with a dollar amount and move this thing forward so we can, tick off the rest of our projects here. So
I'm assuming you guys don't need me for this vote, right?
we don't, if you want to hang around to hear, where we are, but we don't need you any further.
No, I'd rather be pleasantly surprised. So I'll leave you fine folks to it. And I think folks have my email address. They clearly have, Jonathan and the rest of the BDIC in the room. So if you guys have any questions, even folks that are concerned about the project, feel free to reach out. And even if I need to have like a private conversation with some folks that are still on the fence about the project in general, by all means, I'm available.
Okay, we'll do. And I will shoot you an email, you and Peter, as to, where our vote was for this evening, and let you know the next process in terms of town meeting and all that stuff.
Okay, fantastic. All right. Well, sorry I couldn't turn on my video. Next time I will be there, hopefully present. But again, thank you guys for taking your evening to talk about this.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
And nice meeting everyone as well. Nice
Thank
meeting
you.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Hunter.
Bye-bye now.
I'm going to suggest that before we commit to a dollar value on this, that we understand what our whole budget is and what our whole ask is, because we've got 9 other people looking to take money out of our funds.
Okay. So because this is the biggest one we have, do we want to go through all the other ones first
Exactly.
and then see what we have remaining in our balance sheet?
And see what our comfort level is.
Okay, let's do
That
that.
would be my suggestion.
All right, let's do that. We'll look at how we're gonna fund the remaining projects, and then we will, like you say, this will give us an idea of where we stand, so.
All right, before we do that, I would just want to make sure we all agree to the number of our pie. So-
Correct, so that's where I was gonna go through our budget, our dollar amount available for funding right now, okay? So. So in our unreserved fund,
Yes.
we have $1,082,489.
10.
Okay, you guys are, so take that very last sheet, okay?
This one.
Look, the very last sheet, correct. So where it says unreserved fund balance, which is about halfway down the page, it says 807,489,
I agree.
okay? Add in 275,000, that was not put in, that was taken back from the 6 Berkshire. Those two numbers equal 1,082,800 or 1,082,489.
You see where he's
No.
starting? He's starting with the 807. He's saying, okay.
I'm starting with the 807. Add in 275, gives you a 1,082,489.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so that's in our unreserved balance available today.
Okay.
Also, available today, right now, in open space is 49,282. Available right now in historic is 58,152. I'm sorry, 58,125. These are, of course, restricted funds. And available for community housing is $253,005. $253,005. Those are what we have today available. This is what we're willing to spend.
Okay. Okay.
Is someone adding that or no?
No, because, you gotta look at what our projects are, and then we'll say, okay, for gravestone restoration, that's gonna go under historic. We're gonna take out the $10,000 out of the, historic. So we can look at that, okay? And then we can, as we start subtracting that out of the reserve account, then we can see what's available for the general at the very end. You guys good with you? Go ahead, you got a question?
So once we agree to a number, 300, 400, 500, whatever it is.
Yes.
Are we going to be thinking about bonding something?
No, we will not, because we'll still be able to use money that comes in future years to pay off that debt at that
I
time.
agree with that.
Okay,
Okay.
I agree with that.
yes,
In reality, the historic grants in total exceed the historic bucket. The housing grants in total exceed the housing bucket.
correct,
The open space exceeds the open space bucket.
yes.
So in reality, the question was, do we add them all together? We're gonna wipe out the buckets right away. They're gonna be emptied.
Are we? I mean, so what do we have for,
Open space is 130 ask, and we only have 50,000.
okay, yep, go ahead, and then,
Historic is 300,000 ask,
is it? All right, I didn't,
and we only have 60,000 in there.
Hold on. There's a question on that with the Club Memorial Library, which,
oh, you didn't write that in there,
They did not get.
okay,
Yeah.
Club
Yep.
Memorial Library is asking for 283,000.
correct.
And we got,
So the email that you got was that the Clap Memorial Library was going for a grant
Right.
to help supplement the window project, which would have been less of a ask from the Community Preservation Committee. So they're still fully committed to doing the project.
oh, okay, that's a separate grant.
That was a separate grant that they were hoping to
Okay,
pull
thank you.
back from CPC
Thank you
money.
for the clarification.
Okay. So because of that, they're still now asking for the 283. So yes, I guess seeing that all of those buckets will be zeroed out, we can add it all together. Okay, so let me do that for you. One, 0, 8, 2, 4, 8, 9 plus 49, 282 plus 58, 125 plus 2, 253, 005. So in total, 1,442, 901. So with that, I will start subtracting as we move down the list here. Gravestone restoration, yay? Fully funded, 9,800?
Yes.
Everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So do we want to make that motion or just let's do this right here quick, the dollar amount first, and then we'll make our motions at the very end.
Now, did we okay the library?
Oh, I'm sorry, I should have started at the library. Fully fund the library at the 283, 461?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Or 283.5,
Right.
as some people.
We'll
I might need the dollars tonight.
283, 461. Okay. Belchertown map, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes. So minus 8913. Okay, so with that line item right there, we have 1.14 million available still. We'll move down to, we're gonna skip Carriage Grove. We're gonna go down to Sports Haven Infrastructure Project, 250,000.
Yep.
Guys all
Yeah.
fully funding?
Yeah.
Okay. Metacomet Hills Conservation Purchase, 130.
Yep.
Okay. Bleachers. Are we still?
I'm glad he amended his,
Yeah, I know, that's why I was gonna pull that up. Just see how
to
much.
include the proper, well, more appropriate terminology and goals and things like that. I'm glad somebody reached out to him to help him with that. Jim.
I am too. Oh, thank you for bringing it to our attention, Megan. I mean, it's something that I never thought about in terms of, the bleachers and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's, but
I appreciate, because I thought we were only getting a page and I was like, oh, that's probably not gonna fly. But I appreciate reaching out, as we have always said, as I'm gonna fill some time, that, if you need help filling out these applications, you can reach out to the Community Preservation Committee. Our emails are on the site. I did double check. And it is available there. And if you have questions or you'd like, some guidance in writing your grant applications, you can reach out to us and we can assist you in that. That's not,
so the dollar amount is basically staying the same at the 32,999 for the total grant and CPC amount of 24,750.
Okay.
Guys good with that?
Yep.
Okay. Minus 24. Okay. Little Green Monster Project. I mean, this one was a little contentious. What are the thoughts on this one here?
I'm good with it.
You want to start down here?
Well, I know Peg is, I mean, Peg, what I'm saying. I know Pat has had some reservations. I know she had talked with Paul Anzio. They were looking at, they guaranteed, where that there was a handicap parking space up by the drop-off area. She talked about adding the pavement or the walkway to the snack bars from all that area. It was verbally, I guess, agreed that, never thought of that. That's a great idea. We could certainly make that a condition of the grant if that was something that you had some reservations on.
The other problem I had was dancing around the answers to our question. So I just want to say out loud that this ball field is closed to the public. It's not a public ball field, it's just for Little League.
Mhm.
The bathrooms will not be open to the public, it'll just be open when they have their games.
Mhm.
And he said, yes, that, if they're open and somebody needs to use a bathroom, they can when they have their games.
Right.
But I just appreciate honesty, and that was an issue for me because they're a private nonprofit, and they will be closing the facility to the public unless they're there using it for their own purposes. And and this whole, cement walkway, like if you're gonna do this, like why end it here when you've got your snack shack right there?
Mhm.
And so that tells me that they weren't thinking about somebody in a wheelchair wanting to go get whatever snack they sell. So, and that wasn't something that he thought about, and it was a good conversation, and I'm glad we had it. I still have a hard time funding bathrooms when you take a 2-minute walk and there's the town bathrooms open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m, 7 days a week. I don't see the necessity for that, but.
Okay.
I thought there was clarity that field would be available. If the Little League was not using it, that field would be available for organizations to use it as well.
Right, but
Whether it was
the
the
gate
rec
may be
center
closed,
or
right?
Whether it was the
But that's not open to the public.
police and
Well,
fire.
no, that's not open to the public. It's not, but it's open to other events outside of Little League.
Unrelated to Little League.
Correct.
As long as the Little League approves of that, if somebody wants to use it, they have to go through the Little League. And the Little League can say yes or no. And I don't know if there's any monetary value. in between.
Insurance.
What?
Insurance.
Insurance, yeah,
And-
insurance.
And also,
Other group
the
use.
upkeep.
Right.
That's all by volunteers, and I know you wouldn't want, somebody coming in and in that beautiful garden that we've planted, and, well, I didn't help, but you did.
Well, I didn't put it in your hours.
I know, but I'm just saying is that, you want to have some type of assurance that it's going to remain, intact. I don't,
I understand all that. I understand that. I understand that it's their private nonprofit organization and that they're going to be on eventually town land when DCAM finishes the arrangement, whether they're going to be leasing the land from the town or the town's just going to let them be there. I know all those, I understand all those details. And I know that if they want to lease it out to another organization for one event, of course they can do that. But that to me isn't being open to the public where anybody can go there and.
Well, right, and I wouldn't want that either. I mean, I really wouldn't want that because, you need to have, because of what that field is, it needs to be maintained in such a standard that you can't just open it to the public.
The standard to the Little League.
Well, yeah, of course.
To their organization.
Well, right, but I mean, or to baseball in general, but yes.
Right, so so it's been said out loud here that it's not open to the public and nor will the bathrooms be open. That's all I wanted clarified.
Right.
Said out loud, not danced around.
Yep.
And I got my answer.
Okay.
And it's fine. That's what I expected.
Okay. So then, are you in support of the project?
Not the bathrooms.
They took the bathroom out of,
No,
No, they didn't.
I'm sorry,
they
no,
didn't.
okay.
No.
What did they take out of?
I think it was the kitchen or the snack shack
Yeah.
area.
Yeah, okay.
The concession stand.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But we don't have to go with,
Okay,
100% people.
No, we don't.
no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, it's not personal, but I look at.
Be careful.
Yeah, I know, you're sitting right next to me. They, meaning their group of volunteers in Arlada are putting in 200, they're putting in 250,000. They're asking for 150.
Right.
The other thing is, if I had a group of 1,000 people, could I go to the garden with my 1,000 people?
Hey, that's
Yeah,
not my garden, that's
open to the
town
public,
land.
Right.
That's open to the public.
So,
And
let me-
we have no
just-
control over
Right,
it.
let me ask the second question.
Sure.
The gymnasiums in the high school, the schools and stuff like that,
Right.
is that open all the time?
I don't know,
No,
It's not open all the time.
but the baseball fields outside and the football fields are open. Are the high school fields open to the public? I don't know.
I don't believe they are.
no. You have to get permission to use those.
Right.
Right.
But that's town. You're talking about a private organization and comparing it to town-owned property. There, to me.
But there's still
apples to
restrictions
oranges.
on town-owned property as to access also. But, you know,
But you don't have to convince me. I'm just
Right.
I'm just one vote.
Okay, that's fine. You just have to understand, if we go and we're 7-1-0, someone's gonna ask, who said no and why they said no?
I'm a tough old broad. I
I say, I'm not a tough old broad, I'm a tough, so I say yes.
you said yes.
Yes.
Yes, and I just want to point out, I did look up on the database,
Yep.
About, Little League fields. Because there was that question about, are they, I don't know what that was, the term that was thrown out about commercial, nonprofit, or whatever.
Whether it was.
So, yes, so there have been 17 different ones that I could identify for specifically for Little League in the state.
Right.
So, I'm going with a yes, yeah.
Okay, and Michael?
I'll vote yes.
Okay. My stupid calculator.
Tied?
Yeah, so I'll have to start again, but we're at yes for the 148.
Yeah.
Let's see here, the State Street soccer fields. That's been a little bit of a contentious one for everybody here, so I'm not in favor of this project. I don't like it. I think it's premature. I think it's not the right location. I think the town needs a master plan better for their rec department. And, I'm just not looking at spending $100,000 for something that I don't think is, worthy of funding, at least for this year. So that's my bid. I'm not. I'll go around, Pat.
I guess I don't know. I don't like the location. I don't want them cutting the trees down. That's my biggest thing, but, and I look at the amount of money and time that's gonna go into turning that into a little soccer field. But I don't know if it's my place to approve or not to approve what the rec department wants to do. If they think it's appropriate to put a soccer field there. But on the other hand.
So you're sitting on this committee, so you make the recommendation to go to town meeting, yay or nay for the project.
So, well, you just yelled at me about.
I know.
So, I guess I'm, being the newest member, which Mike doesn't like me to say, but, I just I don't know if I have the right to say, well, I don't like what you're doing even though you're the rec department or whoever put this together. But just because there was this little parcel of land and we gotta use it, so let's put a soccer field there. I agree with Jim that, it seems kind of willy-nilly, not really in a plan, but then there are the basketball courts and the pickleball courts there, so. I think I'm just gonna vote yes.
Okay.
Wilbur's the yes.
No,
Yes.
I'm a yes.
No.
So we got 4 yeses and 3 no's, so it goes.
Wow, I don't ever remember
This close.
that kind of split.
Mhm.
I mean, David's not here, so we don't have, but,
We've never had that.
No, are we okay with going to town meeting with that kind of split?
Sure.
Okay.
Again, we're going to the town meeting with a recommendation. We're not making the decision. It is up to the citizens.
Yeah.
And this is a good indication that they need to think carefully about the decision.
Okay.
and then you listed as the rec center, that is that land behind, that we're, that one, that's a moot because that, survey came back as, under 100,000 or right around 100, and they were not willing to sell the property for that, so that one's taken right off the table.
Wait, which one were you talking
The
about?
new rec center, which is, that is the land, across from, Piper Field.
The Piper Farm.
But we got it,
addition.
there's an email that says that the appraisal came in at 22.
Or 22, yeah, whatever.
But they
it
don't
was.
wanna
So they
sell
don't
it
wanna
at
sell
that.
Oh, I guess I didn't
They're
see
done,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
I didn't see that either. So.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, the appraisal came in and.
So I was like,
they got
oh,
it,
20, I thought for
Yeah.
sure, I'm like, it
No,
came
that
in
was,
at the
Yeah.
a
right.
moot, so,
Okay.
okay, so I've taken out Clap Memorial, gravestones, the map, Sports Haven, Metacomet Hills, bleachers, Little League, the State Street Soccer,
How much was soccer?
99.
99,447. And right now we have 488,350, I'm sorry, 488,530 available.
yeah, we still have to deal with,
Carriage Grove.
Carriage Grove.
But if we bond it for the way we had talked about, through ourselves, so we say $500,000.
Well,
And we do 300 the first year, and then another one, and then another one, for
No.
the,
No, it won't work, doesn't work that way.
Okay.
So we encumber, if we say 500,000, we encumber 500,000 this year. The pot will grow before we actually have to pay out,
Uh-huh.
but we're still encumbered this year for the full
Okay.
amount.
So,
And that would put us in negative territory?
That would.
Then I say 400.
Well, I really don't like, I'm gonna stay with 3, just from this really sucks us dry. Our bank account.
Well, here's my only issue. Let's say it's true, that we don't drop in the 500, we say 300, the state goes,
right.
wow, that would be tough.
But we don't know where that, where that takes us anyway, so, I mean, that's. So just, okay, I want you guys all be aware here real quick. So if you look at this balance sheet again. When we start the year next year, if we spend everything today, if we spend 400, say we say 400,000, that's gonna leave us with 88,530. Okay? For next year, we will have in our bank account the 447,124. We'll have 52,825 in the 3 reserve accounts.
I have a question.
So-
I'm sorry, no, let me pull that back again. So in our unreserved account, starting next year, we'll have 266, 293. And then we will have the 52, 52, 52 in the three accounts. Yes, Megan.
Just a question. The high school sprinklers, did that money come back?
It did not, because we still haven't finalized what we're doing on that yet.
Okay, I'm just
So-
wondering
Right,
because,
so that project is still out there, still encumbered, hasn't come back because it hasn't been, not a null and void yet.
it's not, okay, so, right, there's.
There could be money coming back if they can't make
If they
that project happen.
Well, if they can't do it by drilling down, correct?
I have a question.
Yes,
We have money in the kitty for community housing.
correct.
We have something like 300,000.
We have 253,005 in our bank account right now.
Well, can we use a
Yeah,
part of that?
I don't mean to interrupt, but 250 is going to Sports Haven.
Correct, to 250, so you got $5 left.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So our income each year is roughly 600,000.
450, 500, yeah, $500,000,
And
500,000,
growing.
600,000.
500,000.
This year, we're looking to spend
1.4,
1.4, 3 times
Right.
almost.
Right.
But-
3 years worth of income.
right.
So there's a lot of big ticket items on here.
There is, but we've also bonded for things in the past that, you know what I mean? So that has encumbered year after year
Right.
for things like,
I mean, Sports Haven should be, should be done, so that won't be another, heavy draw. I mean, that one was, 350,000 those last couple of years.
And windows for the Clark Library is a big draw.
Right.
and I'm thinking we're gonna be done with those.
Carriage is a big draw.
I know.
know?
I know.
This is a year of
It is a
Of
big
many
draw.
heavy projects, right.
But, we've also done things, like the elevators over at the Methodist Church and then the
Right.
the
Right,
community
and we did the
building.
town beach and,
Right.
the historic lighting. So I mean, and there again, I think, well,
It's a big ask this year, yes. We
the
have,
Stacy Stocker was $100,000.
Jessica's Boundless was a big ticket item and they kept coming back,
Right.
All right, you convinced me, 300,000.
Oh, no.
So, like I said, we got 488. So we're at the last project. So where are we at, guys?
I'm at 4 if that's what it has to be, but I'm not going below 4.
Not going below 4.
Not going below 4.
Michael?
I'm at 3.
Donald?
Michael.
I'm a no.
Okay.
Okay.
Pat?
I'm at 4 because if we want the admin building done, we gotta,
Put our money where our mouth
walk
is.
the, yeah.
Wilbur?
walk the
Wilbur's at 5.
We're at 4 or 3. Which one is it?
4.
Alex?
Okay, 4.
And I'm at 4, so we're at, so 4 it is. Because we got 1, 2, 3, we got 5 and 5 to 1. So that's okay.
That's fine.
All right. So 400,000, so that leaves us with $88,530
I'm
in our
still okay
savings
with that, because
account.
you're gonna have years that it's, you got these big projects and years
Yeah.
that you don't.
And the years that we may have to bond for a really big project. And you know what? This year, we're fortunate that we don't.
And we, or we say no.
Or we say no.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, let's get going on our votes here. I'm not even gonna make the end of the game, so.
let's go home.
Oh, jeez.
Well, it was the Bruins playing the Canadians. I mean,
To quote somebody very, very famous, I'd like to agree with you, but then we'd both be wrong.
All right.
So, I know we had verbiage that we had used in the past. I don't know if you remember what it was, Michael, but,
I can look it up, but if we have to
so
use
basically
it.
it's gonna be, I'm gonna make a motion that we recommend to town meeting that we approve the,
We are fully in support of the project two. Boom, is what I thought it phrased.
I forgot to look it up.
so, right, but okay, fully in
But,
support.
but we have to.
And
we
we're
have
gonna
to
list the
stipulate-
full, we're gonna list the full amount of the dollar amount for the project, and then the amount that the CPC will fund.
Correct.
Okay. So, all right, so let's start with number one. So I'll make a motion that we recommend to town meeting and fully,
We are fully in support of the Clark Memorial Library windows.
in the total project amount of $461 with a CPC cost share of, or CPC contribution of $283,461.
Second.
That's a second. Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So that passes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 0, 0. Gravestone,
I'm sorry,
no,
quickly. 413461, total cost.
413461, yes.
Thank you. Okay.
Well, you'll see it on Wilkes sheet here too.
I'm looking at the last page.
Yeah, that's okay.
Sorry. All right, go ahead, go.
Okay, I will make a motion that we recommend to town meeting that we fully support the gravestone restoration project in its entire amount of $9,800 with CPC granting the full contribution of $9,800.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Ready for number 3?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we recommend to town meeting for the full,
Fully in support.
fully support the conservation of the first map of Belchertown with a grant total of $13,370 and with the Community Preservation Committee contribution of $8,913.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? We don't do abstentions here. You have to vote yea or nay. Okay, moving on to housing. Carriage Grove Apartments. I'll make a motion that we recommend to town meeting that we support the fully support the housing Carriage Grove apartment project in the dollar amount of $58,682,919 with a contribution of the Community Preservation Committee of $400,000. Details of that project will be the restrictions on that project will be worked out with town council for warrant article.
I'll second.
I abstain.
I'd like to amend it to stipulate that we have the contingent upon payment not to be made until completion of the project and the project being completed consistent with the site plan approval, the language and details of which worked out with the town council.
Thank you.
And
May I suggest, instead of site plan approval, approved site plan?
Right, approved.
Oh, good point, yes.
Thank
and
you.
are you gonna be able to say fully in support of?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
as a committee, the committee is in support of it. Individuals on that committee may not be.
I'm just asking the question. I know other committees will not use fully in support if not everybody votes together.
Oh, if it's not
If
unanimous?
it's not
Yes.
unanimous,
Interesting.
that's what.
I hadn't run across that. Okay.
Okay.
Do you-
Well, then I guess we
Do
will
we-
keep
can
that
we
out.
just
Do
want
you
to
want
say
to amend
in support?
Do you want to amend it to delete the word fully? And just say we're in support?
In support.
Yeah. It's,
Sure.
okay.
But don't you usually do with a 5-0? or
Yeah,
something?
we have to-
Well,
Yeah,
and I will
that's
make
part of
that report
Yeah.
at town meeting.
Yeah.
Yep. So there was a motion made, it was amended. Do I hear a second on the amended motion?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So it passes 7-0-0. Okay? Wasn't sure if you were in favor of that project or not.
I thought we were voting on the amendment.
No, we were voting on the motion that then amended.
Okay. Do we need to redo it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So
You
we,
guys are killing me on the
So-
minutes.
we made a
I'm starting to fall
motion.
asleep, I
We
think.
made a motion. Michael amended the motion.
I got
So
you.
then we,
My mistake.
okay.
No, you didn't vote, it wasn't a mistake.
So, okay, so let's clarify that. So we made a motion, Michael made the amendment, Pat seconded the amended motion for the whole project, not just the.
Yeah.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Passes 6-1-0. Okay. Sports Haven Infrastructure Project. So I will make a motion that we recommend that we support and recommend to town meeting the Sports Haven Infrastructure Project and the total amount of $4,105,000 with a CPC Community Preservation Committee contribution of $250,000.
Second.
Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0-0. Metacomet Hills Conservation Purchase. So I will make a motion that we recommend to town meeting that the Community Preservation Committee support the Metacomet Hills Conservation Purchase in the dollar amount of $706,000 with a Community Preservation Committee contribution of $130,000. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Whatever.
Oh,
Who got the
I
second?
don't know who got that.
Who was first at the second?
That's right, Alex did.
I heard Don the loudest.
All right, good catch.
All right. Sorry, he's right here in my ear.
So motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0-0. Okay, the Belchertown, let's see, spectator bleachers. So I will make a motion that we recommend and support the spectator bleachers project in the dollar amount of $32,999 with a Community Preservation Committee commitment of $24,750,000.
Negative.
You seconded it?
No, 24,750.
That's what I thought I said.
You added the word thousand.
Oh, okay, $24,750. Wait here a second.
Second, whatever.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. So we are at our Little League Green Monster Project. So I will make a motion that we recommend and support the Little League Green Monster Project and the dollar amount of $400,000 and the Community Preservation Committee contribution of $148,000. Do I hear a second on that?
Second.
Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm not saying anything. Can I abstain?
No, I don't allow abstentions. You have to stand on your thing.
Okay, I'm gonna say no because I don't think we should fund their bathrooms.
Okay. That's fine. I mean, but I don't like people that sit out on a vote because I mean, this,
No, I
that you're here for, that's what you make the decision for. And fully, I fully respect your decision. So, right.
Well,
But
I mean, it's gonna.
that's why you get paid the big bucks here.
Well,
I get paid a lot of money this year.
I know.
All right, so that motion passes 6-1-0.
And can I just make something clear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That McPherson garden is not my garden. That belongs to
Oh,
the
that's,
town. And the townspeople.
that's how I see it.
I see it as all the work that you have put in,
Yes, that's
Pat,
how I see it.
that
You're-
when I go there, I think, my gosh, she's done a great job.
I agree.
Well,
just
thank you, but I didn't do it alone.
I understand, but
All right, here,
Champion.
we are at our State Street soccer field. So I will make a motion that we recommend to town meeting and support the creation of the State Street soccer fields in the dollar amount of $175,967 with a Community Preservation Committee contribution of $99,447. Do I hear a second on that?
second. Oh, Wilbur.
That was nice and loud.
Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. So, in favor?
I said aye.
Aye, in favor?
Yes.
Favor?
No.
You said no.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so
No.
three yeses, I'm sorry, 4 yeses, 3 nos. 4-3-0.
Thank you.
Okay, I was just wanted to clarify.
I thought I only heard a couple.
Well, that's why I wanted to do that, because I knew that one was,
You said no?
Do I need to,
okay.
that we polled?
Jim said
Huh?
Oh, Jim.
No,
Do
it's,
you want me to make a note that we polled everybody or?
no, I mean, you know,
See, here,
No,
things don't help.
and that's it.
We're done.
Those are our projects for the year.
Did you have a number for the cost of the project that's at State School?
For Carriage Road, I did $58,682,919.
I fell asleep at that moment.
This is a long one.
All righty, so let me grab my agenda here, now that we're just about done. I don't even know where I put it. Well, we got the agenda. Sandy?
The agenda?
Can I see that? Thank you. All right, we did project discussion, we did discuss financial amounts, bills, we have none. Approval of minutes of February 17th. We have the minutes. The only thing that I noticed was the date was wrong on the top.
Yep.
So if we can just amend the minutes to reflect the date of
Yep.
February 17th. Any other questions or comments?
Make a motion to approve minutes.
Second.
As amended, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, Donald, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. And next meeting date, we don't really have anything to discuss, so we'll probably just do a wrap-up meeting after town meeting, so,
Do we read the warrant articles after you finish writing them?
excuse me?
Do we read the warrant articles after you finish writing them before they get
I
submitted?
will write them, I will submit them to the town council for them to, I don't write the warrant, I write a general description as to what the project is and what we're funding. And then they take that and they write the actual warrant, and then they write the motion and they submit that to the select board.
So what happens if the warrant comes back to you after they've done their magic and you see something that you don't think is correct?
Then I just get back with town council and, just either clarify or correct anything
So
that
you have
goes
time
through.
to correct that
Right, so
before?
I mean, I'm gonna work on them starting tomorrow, and get them to them before, get it to town council before the weekend, and they're due, I think, Monday or Tuesday, so hopefully they'll get them back, in short order. So.
Okay, I just don't know the process. So.
Yep. And so what I'll do is, probably next year we'll have some other member, take that task on. So I find it relatively easy. What I do is a lot of times I will copy and paste what the actual application is with just a few clarification notes and dollar amounts and that kind of stuff, and then send that off to town council. And with that, they get a gist of actually what we're funding or what the project is, and they write the warrant accordingly to that. So that's what I do.
So when's the next meeting?
So town meeting is May 11th. So let's wrap up. So the third Tuesday in May is May 19th. Everybody good with that? We'll do a wrap up for the end of the year. All right, so we'll set May 19th as our next meeting.
I still have to do an agenda.
Excuse me?
I still have to do an agenda for it, right? 'Cause it's-
Yes, you will. It'll basically be a wrap up meeting after town meeting, and make sure there's no
You might
other
have some
bills.
yeah. Yeah.
Right, wrap up any bills or anything else, for the summer.
Make a motion, we adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody, and good night.
I really want to commend you all for this work. It's a piece of work.
The red X on the bottom there, Megan, where it says leave.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Oh, that was a long one.
I have